to speed build a lumber mill. It's so nice. I mean, I can think of 100 situations in which if I don't start with a lumber mill, I'm going to be pissed at myself. You don't really need those extra footies against orc anyway. Usually you're kind of trying to creep and avoid them early on anyway. It's not like human against human where it's just constant foot battles and you have to have at least an equal amount of footmen. So it's not exactly like that. So here are the main reasons. One, it gives you extra lumber both to get to tier 2, and when you're at tier 2, it's like 100, 200 more lumber, which allows you to speed build sanctums, and later on tower rush if you want to, which is a very important thing to be able to do against orc to stop things like tier 3 strategies, or just win in a lot of common situations. What else was I going to say? And also, too, if they catch you off guard with something like wyverns, you have the ability to build guard towers if you want. And you can build aviaries later on. You can use towers to expand it, tier 2. And there's just a lot of reasons to do it. It's just an excellent build order. It's too good. It's like I think it's one of the best build orders come up with in like 2 years. Considering that no one used that build order before Sky, using it in WCG 2005, and it's such a good build order, and it's lasted ever since. So it's a brilliant build order. So more lumber, it gives you more ability to do things at tier 2. It's all around. It's a brilliant build. And another thing too is when you make an extra peasant, you may find like. Normally, I might be able to be exactly at 50 food with 3 sorceresses, 2 priests, and 2 heroes, and 8 peasants on lumber and 5 on gold. Like that may equal exactly 50 food. But if I make an extra peasant, I may be at 50 food with 2 sorceresses, 2 priests, and 2 heroes because of that extra peasant. I'll be stuck at 49 food instead. And so staying in no upkeep, I have a smaller army than I usually would, which doesn't sound like a lot, but that can make a difference. So it also takes up food. It's just like making an extra acolyte solely to summon things as undead. It's not really worth it. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. I hope that makes sense. Yeah. Okay. But, there are a couple humans out there that don't make an arcane tower or don't make an early lumber mill against orc, and you can work with it, but I think it's inferior. Thank you, DK, it said, for your PM. It's quite nice. And what you were talking about was the micro audio commentary, which I will get to eventually. Crap, where was I? Okay, alright. Orc peons. Hey, I watched your last audio when you talked about peasants are slower until you get 5 in the mind. Is it the same about peons? Yes. It's the same with peons. You can micro your peons at the beginning of the game. Questions for your next audio commentary by the Gemini Killer. Also a pretty damn cool dude. I believe he's staff. I think he's replay submitter. I could be wrong. Pretty damn sure. I know he's a human player though, which makes him automatically badass. So anyway, I have a few questions for your response to you in your next AC. For you to respond to in your next AC. I'm sorry, I read that wrong. As your previous ACs demonstrate, this game is highly complex. Oh, that's kind of true, but with enough experience in the game, it's almost simple. Like, these are all conclusions. I'll get to that later. Anyway, I found it in my own experience to be essentially unbounded in possibilities for strategic innovation. Kind of true, but not necessarily, which is what makes Warcraft so much fun. I believe its strategic depth greatly exceeds that of most computer games, rivaling such classics as Go and chess. I would say StarCraft does that more. I've never played Go, but I know it's like a strategy game. But I love chess. But for me, it's still a game, not a job, which is why I gave up on it a few months back when I was starting to aggravate me. It's a game and one you happen to be very good at. Thank you, but not necessarily true. What I'm wondering, though, is why you care so much about becoming a Go-To Warcraft 3 player, even at the expense of your enjoyment of the game. Once again, I used to be a bit more motivated. Like, when I was 15, 16, I had this idea, I would love to go to tournaments and maybe not make enough gold. Not make enough gold. God, I'm a Warcraft gamer at heart. Not make enough money to live off of playing the game, but maybe win a couple of tournaments, maybe win a few $100s here. I had the idea that if I played hard, I could get to that point. But I ended up taking too many breaks and not playing hard enough, and I took like a 6-month break and stuff like that. And I didn't even really solo until I was 16, and before that I was just ATE and random team and crap like that. So I ended up not really making it, but so I had that motivation that I wanted to get to that level of play. So I played a lot, so it wasn't hard. There's a great Muhammad Ali quote. Someone has it on their SIG in the forums, but it's something to the likes of, Muhammad Ali said, when I was training a lot of the time I hated it, but I told myself, don't quit now, suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. It's kind of the same thing. You're sacrificing immediate pleasure for future returns. I think Bertrand Russell says in the beginning of his History of Western Philosophy book, in the beginning, he says that that's the difference between savages and modern man, is that modern man has the ability to sacrifice current pleasure for future pleasures, for future greater pleasures. It's equivalent of not sinning so you won't go to hell versus sinning because it gives you immediate pleasure, It's like that. It's the same thing. I'll suffer the displeasure of playing now so that I can have the pleasure of when I get to the being a good player, which suffering now would give me, that pleasure would outweigh the displeasure of playing when I'm not enjoying it. I hope that makes any sense. So it's simple in my mind that's kind of how it works. How does being a top player fit into your other life ambitions and make your time schedule play Warcraft hours every day, even sometimes when you don't really want to? Well, I'm not playing that much anymore, especially with college coming up. But how I used to be very serious about it, and usually, I was pretty free. I was on independent study in high school for like the last 2 or 3 years. So I had a lot of free time at home, and I just took this game very seriously. I think a lot of time people have a lot more time than they give credit. I know some people that are on like 7 hours a day on BNet, but they play like 3 games, which is miraculous. But they just OBS games, they play Footy Wars, they sit and chat for 3 hours straight and talk, and they just kind of they just kind of fiddle around. I think it'd be amazing to people how much more, if they just played and didn't take time to chat, didn't OBS games, didn't screw around, how much more they could play. Maybe even screw it. Get 6 instead of getting 8 hours of sleep a night or 7 hours of sleep. Wake up an hour early so you can fit in 3 additional Warcraft games. Or instead of I'm sure no matter what your schedule is like, you would be able to find a way if you wanted to. It's just a matter of wanting it. You aren't going to take this, if you're not taking this game seriously, you're not going to take serious measures to get better at it. But if you really want to become a better player as fast as you can and as well as you can, then the best way to do it is play as much as you can and as hard as you can. The best way to do that is get as much time to play as you can. And you could always find time to play, I'm sure, whether it means sleeping less, doing less stupid crap, stop going out to movies, don't go out with your friends as much. I know that sounds like a huge sacrifice, and that's something you would only do if you really wanted to become better. But then, if you want to become better, then make the sacrifices. If you don't want to become better, if you're not willing to make the sacrifices, then you won't make it, then whatever. Those are the kind of things. When I was really wanting to become better at Warcraft, when I took it very seriously, I took serious measures to make room in my schedule to be able to play. Finally, are there any other RTS games that you would enjoy and would ever want to learn at such a high level? I don't know. Maybe if an RTS game comes out eventually, I'd enjoy playing it, but I don't know too. I'm going to college and stuff like that. I don't know whether or not that'll totally kill my interest in gaming. Maybe not. I'm just wondering why RTS is for your life goal right now. What made you pick this game in particular to focus on? I think I answered a question earlier about why I play Warcraft over other RTSs, so I think I already captured on that. But right now it's not really my life goal, but when it was, I really loved this game, and I still kind of love this game, and I really enjoyed playing it. I mean, if you asked me when I was 15 or 16, if you came up to me with a plane ticket and said,